Welcome to the new year. To help you have your best year yet, today I've put together a very simple SMART goal setting activity to help you set and schedule your goals out for the year while also managing those sometimes lofty expectations that cause us to fail to execute on our goals. So if you're interested in the process that I use to set my goals to ensure that they are actionable and actually get completed by the end of the year, then stay tuned. This video is for you. Hello, my charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. And if this is your first time with me, I'd like to say welcome. My name is Alexis, but I'm also known as MissTrenchcoat all across the internet. I'm an online entrepreneur who designs and sells digital productivity tools, strategies, and skills to help you manifest success with less stress. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll leave some links down below in the description box where you can check out more of my work online, and feel free to download some of my latest free productivity tools over at thecharmedshop.com. So today's video is actually going to be structured like a mini class where I'm going to be walking you through some activities to help you get clear on your goals for the year. Now, to go along with this little class of ours, I've also put together a free PDF workbook that you can actually print out and use to actually answer and work through some of these activities so that by the end of today's class and by the end of working through this process, you will actually have a very simple and organized plan for your goals moving forward. So I will make sure to link that workbook down below at the top of the description box so you can't miss it, because I think that will be a very valuable way for you to organize the information you learn in today's class. And the last thing before we get started that I want to mention is that I've structured the content of today's video to be evergreen, which means that it doesn't matter what time of year or what year it is when you find and use this video, the information is going to be applicable to you. Because the truth is, it really doesn't matter when you sit down to do your goals, the process is always the same. And I personally believe that this is a process that you'll want to come back to throughout the year to check on your goals and make adjustments as necessary. So for that reason, I have made the content timing neutral so that you can use the video and the workbook as the productivity resources that they've been intended to be for your use. I do really want to make sure that you have your best year yet, so feel free to bookmark this video, download the workbook, and you will have a very simple, streamlined process to set and achieve your goals for the year ahead, no matter when you're watching this video. So let's go ahead and jump into the class. Okay, so let's talk about how to set and achieve your goals. This video is going to cover the following common issues associated with goal setting. First, which goals you should be setting for the year. Next, how to manage or balance your expectations for the goals you set. And finally, how to make sure you actually execute and meet your goals. Don't forget to download the free PDF workbook linked down below. Let's get started. So, first activity, who or what are your priorities right now? So what I want you to do for this activity is to list up to 5 priorities. So priorities are people, institutions, or establishments that rely on you. By virtue of the term priority, these are things in your life that are more important than anything else. So more than 5 degrades the term, which is why I stick to 5. And I always recommend that priority number 1 is you. So this is your year, these are your priorities. I would recommend putting yourself as number 1 because of that old adage that I often use about making sure you secure your own oxygen mask before helping others. I really do believe that you have to serve yourself before you can help others in any capacity. But think about the other people, institutions, or establishments that you engage with that rely on you because they are going to set the bar for the goals that you set throughout this year. So feel free to list those out in the workbook, and if you need to take a moment to pause to work on this, feel free to do so. Next, I want you to ask yourself, what would you like to achieve for each priority this year? So for this activity, I want you to list up to 3 objectives for each priority. Each of these objectives will become the basis of a goal that you will set this year. Since each goal will be tied directly to one of your priorities, each goal will be grounded in an important why that will make it harder to avoid or ignore the goal and gives you a built-in motivation to reach your objective. So feel free to pause the video now, but think about what you would like to achieve, what objectives, what ends you would like to meet for each of your priorities this year. And feel free to list up to 3. Again, we are putting limits on this because we need to limit our expectations and what we can manage. So right now, list out up to 3 objectives for each one of your priorities, and you have space to do so in your workbook. Now, once you have your objectives listed, I want you to apply them to the SMART goal setting parameters. So SMART goal setting parameters, S-M-A-R-T, are literally just a set of parameters that help you to set reasonable goals. Now, I think there's a little bit of confusion about SMART goals, that some people think that SMART goals are the process themselves, and all they are is a little bit of a litmus test in how you are going to set your goals so that they're actually things that you can achieve and manage throughout your year. So let's talk about the parameters. S stands for specific. So you want to give specific parameters for the goal. What are you trying to achieve exactly? I think often a lot of people set goals and they're very vague. Think about it in terms of if you asked a lot of different people what they think of your goal, how they would interpret your goal. It's very possible that with a vague goal, many different people might actually think about that goal in many different ways. So it's very important that you don't leave any wiggle room in what you mean for your goals, even if you understand personally what that means. So make sure that you make your goals specific. M is measurable. So explain the measure for each parameter. How will you know when you have reached the goal? And how can you measure your progress? So I think a lot of times with goals, one of the reasons why people get overwhelmed and give up on them or feel discouraged is that they really don't have any measures in order to track how they've been doing working on their goals, right? So if you're doing a lot of activities for your goals and you don't feel like things are moving forward, it might be because the goal you've set doesn't have very concrete, measurable objectives to go along with it. So it's important to understand what the measures will be, how you will know once you've reached your goal. And likewise, think about this term measurables in terms of how you can measure the actions that you are going to take to bring yourself to the objective. A stands for actionable. So ask yourself, what actions can you take to affect the outcome of this goal? This is another common situation I see with people who set their goals. Sometimes they set goals that they are not actually able to act on, meaning that they do not have the power or capacity to ensure that the objective is met. So in order to avoid this situation, I think it's really important to get clear at this time on what actions you can actually take to affect the outcome of the goal. So you may actually find that there may be many different actions that you can take to make the goal happen, but I think that this is a really important point to talk about, that we really need to understand what we can and cannot do in terms of making progress on our goals so that when it comes down time to execute on them, we're really clear on what actions are going to actually help us reach our goal and what actions really aren't going to have any sort of sway on achieving it. Next is R for realistic. So think about, how can you make this goal realistic for you to achieve? Now, I'm definitely one who definitely believes that you can have big, scary goals. But if you're someone who has done goal setting in the past and you've set goals and they've been too lofty, you may really want to take a moment to understand how you can make something realistic. Another way that I like to interpret this parameter as well is when we are setting our expectations for what we're going to be able to get done. A lot of times in our pursuits of our goals, we need to change some of our habits or routines in order to make room for this goal being achieved. And I think sometimes it's easy when we're sitting here in our goal setting process to say that we're going to change this, that, and the other habit, but it really is hard to change a habit. So I want you to think about how you can look at your goal realistically and see how you can more easily fit it into your life. That doesn't mean you have to give up on big, scary objectives, but it does mean that you need to have a realistic plan of attack for how you are going to make this happen. Or else you're just going to end up overwhelming yourself very easily and then giving up and not proceeding with completing the goal. Now, T finally is for timely. So ask yourself, how long will this take to complete? And what is the time frame and or due date for the completion of your goal? It's really important when you are managing your expectations for your actions over the year to understand how long you believe you need to be working on said goal, because that is going to help you to understand how to balance all of the rest of your life around the achievement of this goal. Remember, just because we're sitting here doing goal setting doesn't mean that our primary focus throughout the year is going to be achieving these goals. In fact, we're really going to need to act very wisely in order to fit our goals into the rest of our life. So, how long do you expect to be working on this goal? What is the time frame that you want to be working on it? And when do you want to have it completed? It's really important now at the offset, setting your goals to really understand where this goal is going to fit in to your year moving forward. Now, I want to be clear when it comes to these SMART goal setting parameters that these are meant to clarify your goal and expectations so you know what needs to be done to make progress on the objective. If you can't clearly fit your objective into these parameters, it's a sign that perhaps this goal isn't right for you to set. Some goals are one and done situations. What comes to mind for me immediately when I say this is planning a vacation. This might be a goal that you'll set for the year, and it's a situation where once you've planned the vacation and gone on the vacation and have returned home, it is done, right? There's nothing else that you need to do in order to fulfill that goal. It's been completed. Now, some goals are actually achievements that might need maintenance, and what comes to mind in this example is weight loss or health-related goals. It's one thing to hit your actual milestone where you want to be for your goal, but it's another thing to actually maintain and keep yourself at that level of health or fitness or weight, whatever you're tracking. So think about your goals in that situation as well. Once you've achieved it, what needs to also be done in order to maintain that status? And finally, other goals are routines that we can start and stick to for a significant period of time. Again, health and wellness goals actually come to mind with this as well, or adding things like meditation or journaling or any sort of other life-enhancing habits to your day. That's something that's going to become a routine in your life. So you need to be really clear on the timing for those types of goals because you may start them and need to continue focusing on them for a period of time in order to establish them as a routine. So keep these situations in mind as you progress to the next step. Of course, the next step to setting and achieving your goals is action planning. So once you have taken those objectives that you've set for your priorities and turned them into SMART goals, you can break each down into key milestones with action plans that will form the basis of project plans or a system for tracking your progress. So you'll use milestones to break your goal down into manageable pieces or phases that will help you more easily track and manage your progress. Each milestone can then be converted into a project plan with a clear time frame and action steps that you can track to ensure you are making progress towards your goal. If your goal doesn't need to be broken down into multiple milestones, consider brainstorming a few different options for how to reach the objective so you have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, etc. Remember, there are so many different ways that you can actually achieve certain goals. So it's a great idea at the offset of your goal setting process to ensure you have an idea of all the different avenues you might want to take in order to ensure your goal is achieved. And then finally, we get to yearly goal planning. So using the due dates for your SMART goals and milestone projects as a guide for timing, assign no more than 3 milestone projects to each of the months of the year and transfer this information into your planner system of choice for those given time periods. For any goals that have more flexible timetables for completion, think about when would be the best time of year for you to work on each. If you expect a milestone will take longer than a month to complete, make sure to apply it to each month you expect to work on it. And stick to no more than 3 items per month, or else you run the risk of overwhelming your schedule. Now, I realize that by telling you to stick to no more than 3 goal-related projects or milestones per month may seem like not enough for some of you. But I really want to make sure that you are managing your expectations so that you are able to get your work done for each of your goals. Now, I do have a few stipulations for how to manage this expectation as well. So if you complete all 3 items before the month ends, so you have completed all of the tasks that are related to each of those 3 milestone projects before the month is over, and you still have plenty of time to accomplish more, you can then move on to a milestone for a future month if applicable. It's never a bad thing to be ahead of schedule on your goals. But as much as possible, I also recommend not intentionally filling up each of your months with tasks to do. Leave white space, leave buffer space in your schedule as much as possible in case things pop up throughout your year. Like I already mentioned, it's not going to be the situation for most of you that you are going to spend a majority of your time working on the items related to your goals and objectives. Really, we have to find the time to schedule in activities for our goals in order to make them a reality, because the reality of life is that we have other priorities and other things that are going on at the same time as we are trying to achieve different objectives. And if you are someone who's not been very successful with achieving your goals in the past, it's going to be so important for you to leave a good amount of white space, buffer space in your schedule, and really set the bar a little bit lower for you so that you are able to actually get things done and achieve them for your goals and objectives without getting overwhelmed. And again, there is nothing wrong with adding more if you get the initial work done, but it's so important to set these expectations reasonably, because very often is the case that people get overwhelmed and don't make progress on their goals, and then they give up entirely because they've gotten or fallen behind. And I don't want that to be you this year. It doesn't have to be you. You do not have to fall into that trap. So just make sure to set your expectations for your goals and the amount of time you have to spend on them reasonably. Finally, I want to talk about anticipating and avoiding roadblocks. So unless this is truly your first time setting goals for the year, you most likely understand that it's easier to set the goals than achieve them. Because when it comes time to do the work, we often face roadblocks to our time, energy, and motivation. If you already know what your roadblocks are, it's important to add plans for overcoming them to your action plans so that you don't let little preventable or avoidable issues stand in your way. Think about what issues have stopped you from achieving goals in the past, especially things from the past year, and set some reasonable expectations for avoiding those situations, because a little foresight can go a long way. Again, in helping you manage your expectations for the year. I think very many of us have already tried setting goals before in the past, and maybe we've been successful with some, and maybe we've been unsuccessful with others. But I think we already know, looking back into our histories, what things tend to stand in our way, what bad habits that we have can sometimes stand in our way, what scheduling conflicts can sometimes stand in our way, and what legitimate draining of our energy stops us from having enough energy to move forward and do a little bit of extra work each day to make sure we're moving our goals forward. So if you already know what those roadblocks are, what those issues are that you personally face, you absolutely should anticipate that you are going to have the same issues this time around and make a plan for how you are going to avoid them. And if not avoid them, how to overcome them. Because oftentimes I see that little tiny roadblocks can actually cause people to completely halt progress on their goals, because in the moment they seem like such big things, but they usually are easy things to hurdle if we are ready to face them and do the extra work that's required to sidestep them. So keep that in mind when you're doing your goal setting and managing your expectations for the year, that these things are most likely going to pop up again, because they always do, and it's important to have that anticipation of them so that you are ready to conquer them. And then my final thoughts. So it will be important that in order to keep on track with executing on the actions associated with your goals, that you use some sort of planning system where you can schedule tasks throughout your year. It is only by consistently reviewing these goals and plans that you will stay on track and successfully execute. Finally, it is very possible that your goals might change before the year is out. Because we tie our goals to our priorities, it makes sense that if and when our priorities change, that our goals will also. So if your priorities shift during the year, make sure you go back through this process and make the necessary changes. Usually, people's priorities do not change like entirely throughout the year, but if a new priority pops up and takes precedence over something else that you have listed with its own set of objectives and goals, then by all means, make sure you make that adjustment, perhaps reset new objectives and goals for the new priority, and feel free to move the other goals kind of to the back burner. If you're not able to get them done, that's absolutely fine because your priorities have shifted, and that happens very often to people throughout the year. The idea is that we need to be aware that this is normal, and it does not mean that we are unable to accomplish all of the rest of our goals. It just means that what is important to us and what we really should be focusing on has changed for the time being. And do not underestimate the power that coming back to your workbook and coming back to this video class will have in helping you stay in line with achieving your goals this year. If you followed through with your workbook, with the activities that we've just talked about in this video, then you should have a very nice little plan set aside in front of you for how you're going to achieve your goals. Now it's just up to you to actually take those items that you've written out and put them in your planning system of choice so that you're tracking the actions and making sure that you are keeping these objectives top of mind throughout your days and weeks as you progress over the year. So congratulations, you now have your goals mapped out for the year. Now, if you're still looking for a planner, the Charmed Life Master Planner is an ideal solution to help you manage your daily life alongside your goals and projects. It comes as a print-on-demand file in 3 sizes: personal, half letter /A5 and letter /A4, and it also comes as a bound book in dated and undated versions. So do not underestimate how important it is to have a planning system to help you track and execute on the actions that you have laid out for your goals and objectives in today's video. And the Charmed Life Master Planner is an ideal solution for this because it's really been designed to help fit in with this goal setting process as well. And if you want more on goal setting, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to go deeper on the idea of goal setting, the You Got This Goal Setting and Planning Workbook is my best-selling guide that can help you tackle your 3, 5, and 10-year goals. Plus, it comes as a print-on-demand PDF with a special 1-hour video introduction. It's 132 pages of lessons with 16 activities and 18 helpful worksheets to really help you get your overarching goals for your life organized out and help you to make those sort of long-term plans for yourself, as well as provides extra information to help keep you organized and your mind in the right place when it comes to goal setting long-term. So now, if you have any questions, which I'm sure some of you do, about this process, feel free to leave me a comment down below in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to get back to you and help you to overcome any specific issues you have with this process. So don't be shy, leave me a comment down below because I truly want to help you make this year your best year yet. So that is how to set and achieve your goals this year. I hope you found this class and the information contained within to be valuable and helpful for you. And if you've reached this point in the video, I'm hoping that you have in front of you a completed workbook with your goals outlined and your action plans ready to go so that you can then take action on all the things that you know you need to get done in order to bring your objectives and goals to fruition by the end of the year. Now, I will also make sure to leave some links down below in the description box for where you can purchase the Charmed Life Master Planner in its various formats. If you are still looking for a planner system that is going to help take the information that you've mapped out for yourself for this year for your goals and actually help you to stay on top of it and track it and make sure it gets done throughout the year, the Charmed Life Master Planner is excellent for that. And of course, if you enjoyed the content of today's class and you want to go deeper into my full process for goal setting, I highly recommend you check out the You Got This workbook. I will leave a link down below because that is my quintessential penultimate goal setting process that doesn't just cover yearly goal setting, but also covers goal setting for the long term and bigger picture goal setting, as well as strategies for simplifying and organizing your life and getting your mindset in the right place so that you become someone who is habitually successful at achieving their goals year over year. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it with anyone else you know is struggling with their goal setting process. I'm sure they'll definitely thank you for it. If you'd like to see more of the behind the scenes of my productivity, life, and business, make sure you're following me over on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.